3R Games has launched Besiege VR for MetaQuest headsets today. It's available now, and it's a game in which you construct devices, weapons, to take on enemy fortresses and enemy units, and even village halls. It's an interesting concept, and one that works really well in VR. Stick around to learn more about Besiege VR. So Besiege VR is essentially a toolkit in which you use building blocks in order to make contraptions to take on enemy encampments, whether they be small castles or towers or even just small villages, huts, and so on. It really is a case of building the weapon that's most suited for the job. And the building is a fairly simple process. It is very much a case of trial and error, learning what each of the unique items that you can add to your contraption will do when you execute the attack phase. And that's how the game plays. There are essentially two phases. The first phase is construction, and then you press the play button and you manually control the device that you've created. So that is like actually steering it with the analog stick on the controller, driving it in the direction you want, pulling the trigger to shoot the guns you might have on it. You're actually in direct control all the way through the attack phase. So if this is ringing any bells, it might remind you of games like Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, or even the recent The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But the way in which it works is not so much I'm running around with this toolkit and I'm going to add these things on. It is literally you are in a box constructing your contraption and then you execute the live play mode. They are entirely separate. You cannot edit the contraption once you're in motion. So building a contraption is done from a menu system that appears on your left hand. The menu pops up and divides things into subcategories and also has your most regularly used pieces available with quick access. And you're simply, from a starting block, you'll see what you have to attack and you build the right device, contraption, for that process. Every level is different and there's lots of them. This isn't a simple short game where you play a few levels and then go into the sandbox mode, which is also included. It is a case of there is a lengthy campaign and your contraption can be tinkered with and tailored with each level in order to make sure it's the right one for the job. Now in this video, as usual, we're only showing you the first few missions because we don't want to have any spoilers for you. But basically, the idea is that you have a variety of different weapons, but each of them not only has a different way of executing, a way of using them in the live action phase, but also they have different requirements in order to keep your contraption in one piece. For example, if you mount a cannon on top of a tall turret and then you just fire it without any support, expect the force of that cannon to blow your turret right off your contraption. To begin with, the game starts super simple with a tutorial. You have a contraption there and it tells you need to add one or two things to make it work, and off you go and run over a sheep or mow down a house, whatever it may be. But soon the game drops you in with very little guidance, and it's up to you to figure out this menu of dozens of pieces of equipment. How are they going to work on your contraption and exactly what are they going to do? And so the learning curve for Besiege VR is quite steep. It does take quite a bit of time. Even if you've played similar games before, it does take quite a bit of time to adapt to what each piece can do and how they can be useful in what your task currently is. Now, that's not to say it's not fun doing it. There are many times when I was playing the game and added something to it. I was like, I'm going to try this out, and something absolutely ridiculous happened. And it's fun. It's fun to do this. Besiege VR is one of those rare games where failure is fun. So you can't take that away from it. What it does do is when you are successful, when you build a contraption that does exactly what you want it to do, you're going to take that one onto the next level and adapt it and keep refining and adapting and until you have a good grasp on what functionality is associated with each block that you have at your disposal. And there is a surprising amount of versatility in what you can construct here. Obviously, for those of you who are aware, Besiege VR is an adaptation of a flat-screen PC game. And it's a flat-screen PC game that was incredibly well received. I'm expecting exactly the same response for Besiege VR because while it has been toned down a bit for the standalone MetaQuest VR devices, it's not changed the game at all. It is still an experience where you can build some ridiculous machines and have a variety of different attacks and abilities and so on in order to take on what are often quite simple enemy placements. And despite the fact that it is actually a fairly simple game, you're building in one phase and then pressing the button and attacking in the next, it is actually quite visually striking. The graphics are simple, but they convey exactly what needs to be conveyed. Your empty space here with the volume in which you can build your contraption bleeds into the only colour in the world, which is the enemy encampment. So that area that you see ahead of you has grass and trees and flowers and so on it, and it's the only thing that exists in this world. And it does really well because even without exploring too much, you can learn from a few glances. Okay, so there's guards placed at this point, and there's a building at the back that I need to get to. How am I going to get to that while taking on these guards, and so on. So while visually it is quite simplistic, it does the job very, very well. And honestly, that is what can be said about all of Besiege VR. Everything it does very, very well. The options to build, as I've said, are quite elaborate from what could be considered a small selection of items compared to other games, maybe. Small selection of building blocks, but the versatility of them is great. The different kind of contraptions you can build are very, very good in terms of the options that you have available to you. The variety in the campaign levels are very, very good in terms of what you have available to you. And the sandbox mode undoubtedly is extremely fun. Simply building whatever your imagination can think of and taking it into battle. Great fun, good times. You're going to enjoy this one. So as I say, Besiege VR has launched today, if you're watching this today. If you're watching it in the future, it's already available. And it's on MetaQuest headsets. And what's more, if you are a fan of Besiege on flat screen PC, there is some compatibility here with the MetaQuest version. Some of those contraptions that you've made can be ported into your new MetaQuest edition of the game. There are some limitations due to the standalone device, the standalone headset, in the same way that what you can actually build here on MetaQuest is a little bit more limited. But honestly, I don't see anyone having any real problems because the ability to construct and to engage in war in this way in VR is fantastically good fun. And if you're already enjoying the game, being able to bring in what you've already made into this new VR world is also going to be exceptionally good fun. So, Besiege VR, available on MetaQuest headsets right now, and it comes thoroughly recommended.